let's take a look at Tesla's mobile connector kit. So this package came with our 2018 Tesla Model 3 with the car purchase for free. But as I understand, later on they stopped providing this for free for the Tesla buyers. So what's inside here is basically this is the charging device. So one end is the Tesla charger, so that goes to the car's charging port. This end, of course, the device itself, but with the removable, I guess, socket, where you can plug like different types of things in. What came with the package, first of all, is this one, and this is the 50 amp. You can see the Tesla logo there. So you can plug this in. So this the bigger one, 50 amp plug. All right. So then a smaller one is actually this, which also has the Tesla logo. This actually is the household wall socket. I guess it's 20 amp. All right, so you can plug this in like this. Of course, the other end can go to the Tesla car, the charging port. The usage of these two different things is for this 20 amp plug. You can simply plug your car into your existing wall socket, and usually in a typical garage you should be able to find this. And this one actually is used for the RV plug. So some of the RV sites, they have first of all, they have electricity, but as a part of that electricity supply, they may provide this type of 50 amp plug. So this is what that is. So you can find, especially some of the commercial campgrounds. For those who are not familiar with the campground charging situation, this is what it looks like. This is at the campground of Silver Springs Municipal Park, which is a kind of city park right outside of Cuyahoga National Park in Ohio. Now, there is another common type of RV plug, and that is something I don't have in my existing mobile connector kit. But I purchased that separately just for a little convenience, and that is this one. And notice the difference. Actually, the difference among these three different plugs. So this one's 50 amp. This one, the household electricity, probably 20 amp. This one actually is pretty standard as well, is the RV 30 amp plug. So I didn't have that as a part of the kit, like I mentioned moments ago, but I went out. I believe this one was purchased as Amazon, and this is, as you can see, I made a little label. This is a 30 amp plug, and it's made for Tesla, so you can see that I can plug this in just as the other two plugs. So then you have this 30 amp connectivity. Now, some of the websites, especially those that are not commercial, for example, many of the state parks, they may not have the 50 amp power supply or a 50 amp plug, but they may only have 30 amp. So in that kind of situation, this can be very useful, right? In fact, we zoom in to look at this charging station at the Silver Springs Park. We can see that the connector actually is 30 amp, not the 50 amp, because I can recognize the cable with a kind of orange label. Now, in terms of charging capability, I didn't really do like a detailed calculation, but based on my experience, this 50 amp, for a typical Tesla Model 3 or Tesla Model Y long range vehicle, you can probably get about 30 miles per hour charging capacity. This one, you probably can get around 10-15 miles per hour charging speed. Now this actually is, even though it's fairly low, but it actually is very important in terms of having it or not having it, right? Because if you go to a campsite for camping, and usually you kind of stay there overnight, and even if it's just 10 miles per hour, if you plug this one for say 10 hours, then that gets you comfortably 100 miles overnight. So that's actually is very useful. So if you don't yet have it and you do plan on doing a lot of camping using your Tesla, I would recommend to get this, the 30 amp, just in case. Again, some of the campsites, they don't have the 50 amp, which is more powerful, more efficient, right? But they may not have it. Although many of those campsites, especially the commercial campsites that, they exist for money, right? And they often have both 50 amp and 30 amp. Now, as part of the mobile connector kit, at the time, I also had this. And this is the adapter. So this actually is not a charger, but it's adapter with this end as the Tesla connector. As you can see here, we know this is a Tesla, right? So this end is Tesla. My cat is making some noise. All right. And at this end is the J1772 connector. Now, for the lower speed, and that is usually charging stations installed at home or in some of the public places, such as libraries, some of the parks, some museums, some theaters, those places. If they have the non-standard connector but lower speed, then it usually is J1772. Okay, so even though the high-speed charging connectors, they are like all over the place. Typically, you have the Tesla connector, you have the CCS, and you have CHAdeMO. But for lower speed connector charging stations, this is pretty standard, the J1772. Okay, so the use of this particular one is you can take advantage of the existing low speed charging stations that you often can find again in those public places, libraries, museums, and so on. Of course, another thing alternatively, and that's exactly what we did in our house, that is you install simply not the Tesla charger, the Tesla wall connector, and that's the other type of things that the Tesla is selling. But instead, you install the J1772 type of charging station. Notice the portion with the charge point is the J1772 connector, and the lower portion of this picture is the adapter that came with my Tesla. Now, the advantage of doing that is once that is installed, while you having this adapter, then you can use that charging station to charge your Tesla vehicle using this adapter, or to charge anything else that accept this kind of standard. And I think most of the cars, they do accept this low charging standard. That's J1772. Very useful. A lot of times you can go to places and they can charge your car, your Tesla, or anything else for free. So these are the items except for this one. These are the items within the mobile connector kit. Now there's another device I want to mention here, and that is this CCS/Tesla adapter. So this has been out, actually not for long. In fact, I was waiting for this for a long time, but Tesla did not provide it. Initially, they provided that, I think only in South Korea. So when I heard that, I was kind of trying to follow the story about that to see if when they would make that available in the United States. And eventually they did. So I purchased this one from Tesla. So as you can see here, this end is the Tesla connector, okay? But this end is the CCS connector. CCS, which stands for Combined Charging System, I believe. It actually is an extension of the J1772, as you can see here. So this is the J1772 connector, and this is identical, this portion, but they added these two things here. So this is a low speed, and this is the DC charging high speed. Okay. Now, what's good about this is, well, first of all, Tesla used to provide a different type of adapter, that is Tesla to CHAdeMO adapter. Now, the CHAdeMO is another kind of common connector, although it, in my view, increasingly has become less common. But the CCS is taking, I think, a lot of market share of CHAdeMO. Now, we all know, if you're familiar with the Tesla charging network, right? The Tesla supercharger network really is focused on the major highway network. So it goes along the major highway, but typically in the kind of population centers, you don't really see a lot of Tesla supercharging stations. But CCS is different. We can take a look at the map. Here is a map that shows the Baltimore, Washington metropolitan area with all the Tesla supercharger stations. Based on this scale of the map, I'm looking at a number of 72 chargers in this area. And then you can compare this one with the CCS charging station distribution map. So in the same area, I'm looking at 265 charging stations in the same area. So as you can see here, even though the Tesla supercharger network is very convenient when you travel on the highway, but in the population centers such as Washington DC and Baltimore, there are many more CCS charging stations in areas like those. This one, since they came out, this one, first of all, this one is much smaller and much more portable than the CHAdeMO adapter that Tesla used to provide. I don't know if they still have it, but it's huge. It's like this thick, about this probably long. Okay, this one is much more portable. And also another thing is, for a long time, they provided that the CHAdeMO to Tesla connector, I think that's like a $650 or something like that. This one is $250. So I thought this is much more economical to have this as potential convenience, because if you kind of move around only in the metropolitan or in the population center, then with such an adapter of a CCS system, it gives you a lot more options for charging. Like when we were in Ann Arbor last fall, close to our hotel, there is a BP gas station, and they also have a charging station also provided by BP. So we were able to utilize this CCS charging facility to charge our Tesla. The alternative would have been driving probably a couple of miles to get to a nearby supercharger station.